All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy.
Welcome to episode 134 of the KissFAQ podcast. And no Julian again this week, but Julian's with us in spirit because he's left us some cliff notes for us to go off of, and his voice will be heard, maybe not audio-wise, but he has left his opinions for this episode. So you're stuck with Ken, Alex, Mark, and myself, Lonnie, this week. And we're recording this on January 13th, 2017. Not a whole lot going on in the Kiss world right now, which is kind of odd for summer, because it's usually when Kiss does a lot of their touring. Mm-hmm. They did obviously they did the spring tour in Europe, early summer tour in Europe. They're doing a show in Chicago tomorrow at a festival, and a show in Minnesota on Saturday. I believe that's part of a festival too, isn't it? Or is that, I think it's a festival of some sorts. So we'll see what kind of set list they put together, how long they play at a festival. It may be, like most festivals, a little shortened, but we'll see. And we'll see what songs they stick with, what songs they drop, and any changes that are made. But in the meantime, this week, we are talking about our own personal Kiss bucket lists. What is on your Kiss bucket list? What do you... And it doesn't have to be... it can be, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be places you want to go or things you want to have in your collection, or it can be anything you want it to be. It's your own list. Put your own spin on it. And Julian has left us his top 10 too, so we can let you know what Julian's bucket list is as well. So, Mark, are you ripping yours up? Or?
Oh no, I'm just folding mine up. Getting ready.
He said he wanted to hang with Bob Ezrin, so he had to rip it up.
No, that wouldn't be on Mark's. That wouldn't be on Mark's 100 Kiss bucket list.
Yeah, I've already met him.
But speaking of Mark, let's kick it off with Mark for Mark's number 10 bucket list item for Kiss related bucket list.
Okay, well, the way I did it, and we can do it numerically, obviously, like that, is right. I had it kind of subdivided into easy stuff that I thought that would be easy to get off my list, then kind of the medium difficulty one, and then the really difficult one. So I have 3 in my easy one. So the number 10 one would be to meet Paul Stanley. Paul Stanley is the only member of Kiss that I haven't had some sort of interaction with. Like, I've met Bruce quite a few times. It's funny, I met Eric Singer and a couple of the other guys, Gene Simmons actually, at NAMM, and just kind of in passing whenever he would be there, and you can just kind of, because it's not open to the public, you can kind of come up to them easier and talk to them, and it's a little bit more easier to have an interaction with them. But Paul Stanley has been the elusive one that I've never really had a chance to even just say, hey, what's going on to, you know what I mean? Like, he's been the one that's been out of radar for me, like, totally. So I'd like to be able to say that I've at least met, all of them, because, like I said, I met Ace back long time ago when I saw him when he was touring solo. That was actually a kind of a awkward meeting because he was in a bathroom at that time preparing himself to go on stage. I won't get into what happened at that time.
Yeah, please don't inform us on what happened with Ace in the bathroom. It's nothing with a diaper changing station.
No.
That was
all right. Just making sure.
That was the Rocket Ride tour, right?
But it's
vile.
I just really would like to be able to knock that off my list, to just finally meet Mr. Paul Stanley. So that's number 10.
Very good. Alex.
I'd have to say I was just thinking with Mark, the same. It's going to do the lower ones being the somewhat obtainable ones, and then work my way up. Mine's the same, though. I wouldn't mind meeting Paul and Gene. I haven't met them yet. The only interaction I had with Paul is when I did see him in 2006 on his Live to Win tour. he came over like to the stage right after Love Gun, because like right before he did the encore and stuff, and he handed me his guitar pick, and so that was it. And I mean, I was like geeking out then, but I haven't had any interaction with Paul or anything like that. I've only met Bruce, and I did talk to Eddie Trunk not Eddie Trunk. I talked to Ace on Eddie Trunk's Kiss Him special a couple years ago, before Anomaly came out, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, speaking of which, there is a little Kiss news with Ace and Anomaly.
That's right.
With the reissue of Anomaly, and correct, remastered, and the "You Make It Hard for Me" song, which was the original lyrics for Foxy and Free, but it's a song that we originally heard about back in the Psycho Circus era before the album came out. So it's up for streaming, and then I listened to it the other day. It's actually, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I must say, I was on iTunes because the other day looking at it, and it looked like you could. I mean, obviously the Anomaly's out there, but there was the other bonus track, which is the slower version of Pain in the Neck. And if you go to the iTunes, you can stream and sample all the tracks on there. So it was interesting hearing that slower version of Pain in the Neck as well.
Isn't there some kind of colored vinyl too of that?
Yeah, the vinyl is a picture disc, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a
okay.
picture disc. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's something that tied you over, I guess, for Kiss collectors anyway. Just to get you to buy something again. We're all Kiss fans are the kings of buying music that they already have. So why not buy something else that you already own? So Ken, what about you to start off your list?
Yeah, my list is, I guess it's kind of like the other guys, where it's easier, well, maybe easier to attain some of these things, starting at 10. Mine are kind of all over the place though, but you might call this kissing up. My number 10 is a new book from Julian.
Oh, brother!
He's
not even on the show this week.
I know. So
I don't even know if he listens to the show when he's on.
He probably doesn't, so this probably won't work, right? But a book on the Creatures Lick It Up era, with hopefully the Michael James Jackson. I'm hoping that's who he's been maybe interviewing lately, since he's kind of come back out.
Ask who he's interviewing.
But yeah, I'm hoping Creatures Look It Up era, Killers. I'd like to have a nice book on that period of time. I think it would be very interesting. So I know Julian could do the job. So.
Well, that's some hardcore lemonading to get the show started.
So there you go.
Speaking of Julian, let's go to Julian's number 10. And Julian put his together. He put his together. He's been accomplishing a lot of these. He said this year. His number 10 was to attend a final Kiss meet and greet, which he did back in April. He says that we're just about to the end of the band. We're 45 years in, with the last 21 of those years being in makeup. And he hadn't done a meet and greet since 2004, and he did one this past April, and he wanted to experience how those meet and greets have progressed from when they started doing them in 2003, really on the Rock the Nation tour with Aerosmith, to how they've become now with the acoustic sets and meeting the band without makeup, and then coming back and meeting the band with makeup. He said their meet and greets have certainly changed, and he has mixed opinions on it, good and bad. So that's Julian's number 10. And my number 10, and this one's fairly easy, and it's just me pulling the trigger and doing it, and that is I don't own a copy of the original album on vinyl without Kissin' Time.
What?
And I'd like to have that. And I don't.
Neither do I.
So, and I'm...
Really?
I'm surprised you don't, Mark. So
yeah.
I just don't have it. I wish I did. And it's just, one, a matter of me pulling the trigger to do it. Two, a matter of me convincing my wife that this is a good idea for me to do. So, which might be the harder thing. So, Again, with buying music I already have.
Right.
Considering that they're usually like over $50, maybe even $100 with one. Even if it's not a promo, they're pretty pricey.
And considering I never play it either. So.
Wow. Okay.
Ken's disappointed in me right now, and is a little disappointed in Mark as well.
It's okay.
Why don't you guys go, Mark? Why don't you give us your?
All right, my number 9 is one again that's probably a fairly simple one to do, and the funny thing about this one actually is that I did have a few chances to knock this one off my list, but unfortunately, because it involves being in New York City, I was always kind of restricted by other people's schedules at that time. So there was one time when I was really close to doing this. I would say, okay, we're near, we can go, let's go do it. And then something came up and I wasn't able to do it with them. And that was to do a picture at the infamous Dress to Kill corner. I always wanted to do that picture. And I've been to New York City like 6 times. I think that was the 5th time was the closest I came to actually doing it, and I kicked myself that we didn't get to actually do it, but I really need to get that done. I really want to get a picture of me and a couple of my friends at that Dress to Kill corner, because everybody who's a fan of Kiss probably has that in amongst their photo collection somewhere. So that's my number 9. And like I said, I think it's just a matter of finally sitting down and organizing it properly to get it done.
No doubt. I think that's on mine too. But for sure, that's a great one. I think every Kiss fan that goes in New York has, well, I have to go there.
Yeah.
So, Ken, let's go back to you for your number 9. Do you have more Julian books that you're wanting?
No, but I got a different book.
Right.
I got another book actually. Which is the next one. I want and this may take a while. Depending on when the band, hangs it up, or when, I don't know, when he's allowed to do it. But Tommy Thayer book, biography about the whole experience, going back to, when he first, you can go his musical life, it should be pretty interesting, the early stuff, Black and Blue, and then becoming, getting hired on with Kiss to be an errand guy or whatever, and then finally joining them, and putting on the makeup, and what are the real behind the scenes stuff that happened with all that. So I think that'd be very interesting. Hopefully he can divulge all the what went on that whole period of time.
Yeah.
Even when Eric had passed, and then Eric Singer came in and replaced him, and so on. But so it's not going to happen, of course, right now while he's still in the band. But I think if it's all over, he has a better chance. We have a better chance of that happening.
Yeah, I think it has to be all over, and maybe Gene and Paul not being with us anymore for that to happen.
You might be right. It could be true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unfortunately, but that might be true.
Yeah. Speaking of buckets, bucket list.
Alex, what about you?
Mine's actually like Mark, but I've always wanted to go to the New York sites. It's funny, I grew up in Maryland, and I've been to upstate New York many times, but I've only been to New York City once, and that was just for a layover coming home from my mission. And so I've never actually been to the city. Of course, being out west is a little bit tricky at the moment, but I'd like to do the sites. Go to the loft, go to some of the locations, go outside Electric Lady Studios and Madison Square Garden and stuff. So, and then of course, the Dress to Kill photo spot.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure, like, my wife would be like, "What? Why are you taking a picture at this lamppost? What's this about?"
Stop it! Get back in the car.
What about you, Lonnie?
Mine is actually the same. My number 9 is actually the same. Three of us have the same number 9. And mine is to go on a tour of Kiss sites in New York. The Dress to Kill, obviously. That fountain that you see a lot of the 75 pictures in front of. The Loft. Where the Daisy used to be, where Coventry used to be. Things like that. Just to visit those historic Kiss-related sites, Electric Lady Studios, things like that. To see where it all began. I think would be very interesting and very special to me to visit all those places. I did something like that. Like when we went out to, my wife and I went out to Los Angeles a few years ago to see your sister, and I did a lot of those things with Guns N' Roses and make sure I wanted to go to the Troubadour. I wanted to go to the Roxy and the Rainbow and the Whiskey and places like that. To see that because they're my second favorite band. So I wanted to do things like that. So I would like to do the same thing for Kiss in New York. Julian's number 9 is, he says it's almost like wasting a pick, but he wants to interview Vinnie Vincent. Because what more needs to be said?
Yeah.
Probably the white whale to try to get an interview with Vinnie Vincent, but for a guy like Julian, would definitely have to be on his list.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Ken, let's throw it right back to you for our number 8 picks.
Okay, 8. I got another book.
Wow, he's like the bookmeister.
I'm going to stop there, though. But number 8 is Bruce Kulick book. I think again another interesting.
Might be another bucket book.
Another one that might have to wait a while. Though he could do it. I know he's going to be on the cruise, so maybe after he does the cruise, he can start working on it. I don't know. Yeah, he wants to, I'm sure, remain on good terms, and this, Bruce is a classy guy. So, but I'd love to, see or hear all the stories that went on there. He's written stuff about recording the certain albums on his website, which has been very very interesting, and so I'd like him to go more into that, and then about the whole experience. It seems like he remembers everything because he wasn't on drugs or anything like that, as far as I know. So I think he has a pretty good memory. So I want to see that book happen. Who knows when it will happen though.
For sure, I think a Bruce book would be very interesting between the time frame where how he got in the band with the whole Mark St. John drama going on, and Eric Carr dying, Eric Singer coming in would be very telling from an inside point of view, but yet not a Gene and Paul point of view. To 1995, 96 with the reunion tour. Mm-hmm. I think Bruce would have Bruce was involved in a lot of interesting times in the band, and a lot of dramatic times in the band with dramatic changes, and it was very, maybe the most dramatic times. Oh yeah, and the Psycho Circus, him coming back and writing with Paul, and here they are. They kicked me out of the band, but hey, come write with me for this new album.
Come and write a song with me. Yeah. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
So I think a Bruce book would be very revealing if done properly. But again, like the Tommy book, we might have to wait a while for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Mark, let's go back to you then for 8.
Okay, so now my number 8 is one that might surprise Ken again.
Yep.
I've I really over the last couple of years gotten into the whole British thing a lot. Like I'm really into Doctor Who, and I also like a lot of the bands, progressive bands from England and stuff like that. And I've also gotten into researching a lot of like the record labels like Parlophone and Pi and all these other labels and stuff like that. And one of the things that I really started getting into that's Kiss related is I wanted to get all of the Pi red vinyl albums that Kiss have. Right now, I only have Alive 2 and Rock and Roll Over, and I have the first album coming in the mail because I did a sweet trade for one. And But that's really something that I wanted to knock off my list. I'm a big fan of the red vinyl versions of those records. And I like the fact that they kind of just stopped, I believe, at, what was it, Dynasty, I think it was? Where
Dynasty was, I don't think that was...
that wasn't a pie, that was just a regular red from...
It was a red from...
Like,
I don't think that was
Belaphon or whatever it was.
I think it was a Belaphon red. But
you know,
before
I like though that they kind of stopped it at a point just to make it, you know, kind of more exclusive to a time period too, right? I mean, Live 2 kind of being the stopping point is interesting, and I really like them. I mean, the ones that I have, they all sound really good, and you know, I haven't had any issues with them. So, and they're really I like them. I think they stand out really nicely, and they're a really cool collector piece to have and to show other Kiss fans. So, I want to get the rest of them. I know a Live 1 is going to be a pain in the butt to get. Yes. And same with Destroyer. I hear is not the easiest one to find either. So
that's okay. You don't like Destroyer.
Yeah, I'll leave that one for last, anyways.
So Mark, I have all of them, and that was one of the first ones I really tried to collect all of them, and I actually had bought a couple, which is kind of funny, back in the early or mid 80s.
Oh, really?
When we had a store out here that had a lot of import records, and I remember seeing a couple, and I actually at that time bought Alive 2 in red and the first album in red vinyl. That's the only ones I bought at that time. So, but in the last year or so, I have a year and a half probably, I have slowly collected all of them. So I have all of them, but yeah, like you said, some of them are a little bit tougher to find. They don't show up as much as the other ones do. But yeah, those are cool. I do like them too.
It seems like the first three show up a lot, but then after that, they get a little bit more trickier.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's great. Alex, do you still have your number 8?
I do. My number 8, so it's kind of disappointing. And I've had them over the period of years, and I've traded some.
Don't build it up any. It's kind of disappointing.
But I'd like to get like a nice set of all the albums on like CD. But I'm like waiting to get Dreamland for them to like have like that definitive, you know, matching full set. You know, you get like the remasters that just go up to a certain period of time. And then you get, you know, the miscellaneous 90s albums, or you got Sonic Boom as a digipack and so forth. And, you know, I mean, I see Ken's got the Beatles box set behind him. You know how they've got it all packaged, everything's uniform and stuff. And so that's my goal. I'm hoping at some point they'll do something with like a final remaster, maybe the 2014 mixes, because I have those off iTunes. But I wouldn't mind having a nice physical full set.
Nice.
They haven't remastered. They haven't put out remastered CDs since '97. So, I would think you're due at some point for that.
Yeah.
You know, I could see them remastering the catalog in a Hysteria type vein on CD at some point.
You know, the band Chicago released 2 box sets of those studio albums. One with the first 10, one with the second 10, and they came just in little cardboard sleeves. The second set actually replicated the full album with the front and back of the cover. It was pretty sweet. So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that too.
For a band that has become a nostalgic act in a lot of ways, you would think they would embrace their past more than what they do sometimes.
Do you know what? You should consider yourself very lucky though, because I, for one, collect Frank Zappa, and he's done all his stuff, and let me tell you, on the spine of the CDs, there's a little number on the top that represents which number of the album it is in this series, and this is insane. It's like he has like number 96, number 111. Like he has a lot of albums. I'm like, holy shit! How long is it going to take me to collect all of these? Like, I just got like the first like 20, and I thought, okay, I'm doing good. And I'm like, no, I got like 80 more to go here. Like, so consider yourself lucky that Kiss don't have that many records that you have to wait for. So,
my number 8 is actually the same as Ken's, and I want a Bruce Kulick book. And I guess that's why I had a lot to say when Ken brought up the Bruce Kulick book. I think that'd be very interesting because he was involved in such interesting transitions in the band's time frame. Julian's number 8 is actually really good. Julian wants to get unshit listed for life by the band. So.
Nice.
I don't know why he's shitless. I mean, it's
because the FAQ has a bad name, I guess, amongst the inner circle.
Just because some people on the board said bad things.
It
doesn't represent the whole.
It doesn't represent Julian Gill's opinion. But I guess Julian, they see it as the puppeteer up in the rafters.
Yeah.
He's the Piper.
I guess, and some of the experiences he had with getting Odyssey out did not help his status amongst the band either. So Julian, who is an uber fan and a great guy, and I'm lemonading now, is shit listed by the band for whatever reason. So that's Julian's number 8 is to get
except for the meet and greet, so that they allowed him to do that reason meet and greet in Reno.
Yeah,
but they did take his money.
They took his money.
Oh, they'll be glad to take his money. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we will be happy to take his money, unfortunately. So let's move on to our number 7 picks.
Yes.
And Alex, let's go straight to you on this one. Can't hear you.
Your mic's not working.
I can't hear you.
I put it on mute to try to limit sounds. My number 7 for myself is, I got to go to an expo in Baltimore, and it was pretty cool, but I'd really like to go to one of the Indianapolis expos. Though I do hope they mix it up. I know they mentioned on 3 sides, and somebody made a comment, how many do we have with Bruce and Eric? I'd like to see some good guests. Mm-hmm. Hearing like Michael James Jackson doing the Kiss cruise. I wouldn't mind seeing a similar setup there. Having like Michael James Jackson and some of the other people that kind of worked with the band. That'd be really sweet. But I wouldn't mind going to like a big expo and have some good dealers there.
For sure, I've been to India a bunch of times. It's a great time. So it's a good pick. Mark, what about you?
Okay, so now we're heading into the medium difficulty area for me. Now, as everybody probably knows, I, being a musician and play guitar and stuff like that. And while I've never really been much of a uber guitar collector of other people's signature stuff, I have one signature guitar. I have a Tony Iommi SG because I love Sabbath, so I had to get that. He's like the god of all things metal, so you had to get his guitar, right? But the one guitar that I really would love to get, and I have a picture right here, just so I can go into more detail, is I'd love to get the Bruce Kulick ESP, I believe it's called an M1 swirl, like he had on the Asylum tour.
Mm. Yeah.
That kind of multicolored swirl guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen one before at the NAMM show. They had one of these custom guitar builders that made a bunch of different guitars for various people, and they were really low amount, 5 of them they would make, so they're insanely expensive, but they would make it to the exact detail, the same whammy bars, the same everything in it, right? And I'm pretty sure I saw one like that at one of the NAMM shows I went to, and it's just, I would love to buy one of those. I know collectors, whenever I talk about it, they always frown at me when they say, "Oh, you would buy it and hang it up, right?" I go, "No, I'd play it. I would love to use it and stuff." They're like, "No, you can't do that. It's a collector. You know how collectors are sometimes, right?" So, but I'd love to get that guitar, because that guitar to me represents one of my favorite non-makeup Kiss record, which is Asylum, and I just really love that guitar. I thought the very first time I saw it was in Circus magazine when I was way younger back in the day, and I always was just captivated by that guitar. So I'd love to grab one of those. And I guess the reason why it's medium difficulty is because 1, it's probably difficult to find, and number 2, it'll be pretty pricey. So.
Yeah.
Yes on both. Ken, what about you for 7?
7. It's not a book.
Oh, the first non-book item from Ken. I'm
Yeah,
intrigued.
yeah. All right, this is One Last Kiss album. That's my number 7. I want one more album from them. One more, let's say it this way, a good album. You know, one last kind of hurrah, their last, swan song or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it, swan song, but something that they'll go out with a bang, I guess. That, an album that maybe they get a good producer, which there's that rumor again now about Michael James Jackson, since he's back in the picture. And some guy on the board said he's willing to produce them, so who knows. And Paul said the next album, when he was talking about it, was going to have a big drum sound. So that's, hey, it's kind of all these things kind of equaling up. So I'm hoping for One Last Kiss album and Michael James Jackson produce it, and I hope it's a good one. That's it.
It's a good pick, and it's what the last 2 Kiss albums were missing. If you ask a lot of Kiss fans, it's a bona fide producer. So
Production, yeah.
it's exactly what would be great for him. My number 7 is to have an original Kiss pinball machine, not the new one,
Yes.
but an original one from the 70s. I passed up on one about 12, 13 years ago. I was in a record shop in the middle of Mount Vernon, Illinois, in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. And a guy, I had a Kiss shirt on. The guy says, "You a big Kiss fan?" I go, "Oh, yeah." I was actually on my way to the Kiss Indianapolis Expo, and I knew there was a record store on the way there, and I wanted to stop there. And he took me in this back room. He had a Kiss pinball machine. He wanted $1,200 for it. And I should have pulled the trigger, and I didn't, and I've regretted it since.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, so it was a bad move, and it's still haunts
Yeah, but
me to
how
this
would
day.
you have brought it back? I mean,
How would I have brought it back? I wouldn't have had a place to set it up at the time. Either was part of the problem, because I was about 22 or so, and I didn't have a house or anything like that. I wouldn't have had a place to really put it. I could justify doing it at the time. But
Yeah.
that makes
looking
sense.
back on it, I wish somehow I would have talked myself into it and said, "You'll figure that out later. Just buy it,"
Mm-hmm.
Stick it in your bedroom.
Right? Bring a girl over. Check out my Kiss pinball machine, baby. Whatever a girl wants to see, So that I missed out on that, and I kind of regretted it ever since. Julian's number 7 is to find 2 elusive vinyl releases. One that he previously had and foolishly sold. He missed out on an auction to replace it at one point because it didn't look as good as the one he had originally. And the other LP variant is something that he's never owned and never seen in person, but he wants it framed and on his wall. But he's not going to tell you what these 2 pieces of vinyl are.
Yeah, he doesn't want to tell us, so we don't go out and buy it.
Yeah.
Or overbid him or something.
Overbid him just to drive the price up.
It's like, I want to know what they are. Just to know.
I do too. I do too, but he won't. He will not divulge very wisely to us
Very
four
wise.
and anyone listening to the show. Saying, "Oh, I said I'm doing one, so I'm just going to drive the price up." So back to we're down to number 6. Mark, why don't you kick us off with 6?
Okay, so since we're in the middle difficulty one, the reason why this is going to be in the middle difficulty, and once I reveal what it is, you'll probably think, well, this is probably harder than middle difficulty, but I'll explain. First, I'll say what it is, and then I'll explain why it's probably not as hard as you would think. I would like to take one of my own songs I wrote, and I would like to mix it with Eddie Kramer. Okay, now I'm sure everybody's saying, well, that's going to be a real hard thing to do. I mean, the guy's, not exactly like available all the time and blah, 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 blah. But there's a series that's out amongst people who are into the whole mixing and audio kind of world. They have this little program called Mix with the Masters, and I believe it's held in France, where they get certain big name record producers, and they take like 6 people at a time. You stay over the weekend, they give you accommodation and stuff, and you go in with a known record producer, and he shows you how he mixes his material, and then he mixes something with you, like of your own, right? So that was something I was always interested in, because they always had like a bunch of really cool producers, and they announced that Eddie Kramer would be doing this, and not just once, but often that he would be doing it. He likes doing it, right? So that's something that I'd really like to get off my bucket list, even if it's just one song that I can include as a bonus on my next album or something. I'd love to just sit down and do one song with him, if not just to get his magic onto it, but just to absorb everything that he does and learn off of him, what his little tricks and things that he does to make the sound how he does for the records that he does, because I love a lot of his stuff that he's released, and not even Kiss stuff. I mean, just even non-Kiss stuff, right? So so I'd really like to put that one to rest at one point. Like I said, that again will cost money, and it will be a timing thing again, because you'd have to do it when he's announced that he's going to be doing it. So that's one of my big, well, it's not the biggest one, but it's a pretty big one. So my number 6, I believe he said it was, right?
Yes, sir. Very good. Very cool pick. Record a song with someone responsible for some of those classic Kiss sounds.
Yeah.
All right, Alex. What about you?
I mentioned one of the made Paul engine earlier, but on the difficulty part, I'd love to be able to sit with any of the original 4, even if it was just 30 minutes, and be allowed, obviously respectful, but be allowed to ask any questions. And
put your finger in their chest and hold them accountable.
But I just it's always kind of annoying whenever you see like this Q&As and stuff, and it's the same. How long does it take for you to put the makeup on? And you're like, oh my goodness, I swear, like, no, I want to hear like a good question, Yeah. I mean, I remember like when I was backstage with the Certain Disco group, and I got to like ask them some questions that the information is not readily available, and they were like, yeah, here's the info. Like, we were doing this album, and one guy left, the other guy came in, and he said, F it, I'm out of here, and we got a third guy. I was like, oh, well, cool, now I got an answer. And so I'd love to do that with one of the original 4s. Each one of them got like certain questions I'd love to ask, but I'd love if I could sit with any of them for 30 minutes and be able to ask them any questions and to go. I think that Michael, who did the interview with Gene, and he asked them point blank about Kissology 4, and I thought like that was, yeah, cool. Somebody, like you said, holding the finger to them, but, getting to ask the nitty gritty questions would be, I think, something I'd love to do.
Very cool. Any one in particular that you would put up there? You said any of the one original 4.
I'd say.
What's the one you really want?
Gosh. Probably for like, just because I'm sure he's got a good memory, I'd love to go with Paul. Ask him.
Good pick.
Yep, you might get the most honest answers too.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, what about you for number 6?
All right, number 6 is a Kiss vinyl box it's been out since late 90s. The Kiss Originals Japan box. It's all in the colored vinyl. You guys may have seen that. So I think it's 11 colored vinyl albums in there. I don't have that.
What?
Yeah. What? Do you have that, Mark?
Right. You're not a real fan.
Okay. All right. But it's out there. I can get it. It's kind of a steep price to try to get it. So I've been kind of just holding off and biding my time and kind of waiting for that right deal, which may or may not happen. I may just have to bite the bullet or whatever and and do it and be done with it. So that's the one, at least as far as my vinyl collecting, that I would like to get next, if possible.
Very cool. Julian's number 6 is something that most of us have already said. and that is to go on a historic site of New York City. Recently checked a lot of these off his list. When he went to New York to see Peter Criss, came out of Penn Station and saw Madison Square Garden, went to the Dress to Kill corner, and even the rehearsal loft, even though he was a little worried about disturbing some of the occupants, so he could go see a loft that Kiss played in almost 45 years ago. The album cover of Location was the only place still existing, and I ever considered visiting. So maybe there are more out there that he hasn't thought of yet, but that's something we've all talked about already, is going on a historic site of New York City to see all these places. And my number 6 is in relation to that, is I would like to see Kiss play. I'd like to go to a Kiss concert at Madison Square Garden. I think that would be really cool. I've seen Kiss in Detroit, which was really cool. When they dim the lights and have them say "All right, Detroit," that was pretty cool. So I would like to see them at Madison Square Garden, to see them in that historic building, in their hometown. I think that's definitely a bucket list item for me.
Oh, yeah.
All right, number 5. Ken, let's go back to you for 5.
Okay, number 5 is actually it's easily attainable right now.
Sit down and interview Julian for a half an hour.
That's right. Maybe that's number 11 on my list. It's see Gene Simmons solo concert, and that is going to be attainable because I will be traveling with Julian down to Southern California to the Riverside concert.
When is that?
August 5th.
Cool.
So it's getting there. We're getting
coming up.
So I'm looking forward to that. That should be really cool, and I hope Gene keeps playing those nuggets, and I'm hoping maybe somehow he'll add Naked City on there. I'd love to hear that.
That'd be cool.
But anyway, that's going to be cool, and fortunately I'll be able to scratch that off my list.
For sure. You'll have a great time. That Genius show I saw a couple months ago was fantastic. That was a bucket list item for me. It's something I thought I'd never see, as a Gene Simmons solo
That's right.
tour or show or anything. So you'll have a great time. I mean, him playing Almost Human and Love for Sale. Son of a bitch, was awesome. So I don't know if you'll get to hear Naked City, but who knows? If we're doing Love for Sale, I guess anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, what about you for 5?
What, not hearing what Ken and Julian doing, I want to ride in the back seat so I could hear Julian's sweet collection of unreleased material on a car.
More lemonade.
You might be in a trunk, though. I don't know. No.
Oh,
Just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Hey, as
There's
long
a
as I
speaker back there, you'll be okay.
yeah, I'll be good. No, but honestly, I do remember. I'd love to any of the big collectors who have a lot of the unreleased stuff. Yeah, I would love to just sit down even for an hour and just hear some of the tracks, even just to listen one time through to hear them. That'd be something I'd love to do. Hearing obviously that latest episode, the 3 sides that they discuss, like the Rock and Roll Over demo tape, and of course how the demos that we know that do exist but haven't heard and stuff, like the Crazy Nights demos and stuff. I'd love to better just sit with somebody who's got them just to hear them at least one time.
cool.
Just one time. That's your bucket list, to hear something one time. Dream bigger, Alex. Mark, what about your number 5?
Well, my number 5 again is it's difficult again, but it's mainly because it deals with cash and timing, and it's again music related, and it's related to my own stuff again. But I would very much love to be able to do a full song at Electric Lady Studios. Now, we all know how attached the studio is with Kiss in their history, A lot of great records were made there, like Asylum, and I'd like to be able to go in there once and just do one song top to bottom, like record, mix, everything, finishing touches, and do it there. Just because I kind of miss doing that, because when I first started getting into music, I actually apprenticed at a recording studio here, just near the outskirts of my city here, and I loved it. And there's definitely a difference between doing a song in a full-blown studio than how people do now in their own home studios. I mean, sure, I love doing it in my own home because I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. It doesn't cost me anything, and you can get just amazing results now. But sometimes the vibe of an actual recording studio helps get a better performance out of people sometimes, because you're in such a cool environment sometimes that it just helps with that little push that sometimes people need to get a really cool song done. So I'd love to be able to go into a place like Electric Lady and do one of my own songs top to bottom. So that's a pretty big bucket list thing for me.
Very cool. Very cool. Another cool related Kiss performance to do. That'd be really cool for you, Mark. I know you and I ran each other a lot on the show, but that'd be really cool to do that in Electric Lady. That'd be pretty badass.
Yeah.
All right, number 5 for Julian is the same as number 5 for Ken, which was to see Gene Simmons perform solo. He'd always hoped Gene would do a proper solo tour, and while he may not be doing a tour per se, there's no way he's going to miss seeing the chance to see him. It's just too fun and long overdue. He hopes he keeps the rare Kiss gems in his set, and perhaps another song off his 78 solo album. He'd even be happy with another song off of Asshole, which was the case for Peter. It wasn't important what he performed, it's what he chose to perform. And again, going back to what we were saying a little bit ago, that seeing a solo Gene Simmons show or solo Gene Simmons tour isn't something that I ever thought would happen. That I never thought he'd be interested in going out on the road and playing if it wasn't with Kiss in big arenas and big amphitheater type settings. So to see Gene go back to his roots and do that, and not only do that, but pull out these songs and to relearn some of these songs and play them, I think is really cool. And I've really enjoyed seeing them, the videos, and I enjoyed seeing the one I saw in person.
Yes.
My number 5 is something that Ken already brought up. I would like one more Kiss album. And it's something I don't have control over, but with the end of the road becoming closer, I would like to get one more great Kiss album out of the band as a exclamation mark on their career, to say goodbye to the recording studio aspect of their career and say goodbye to their fans and go out on one big final tour with a purpose of going out on a tour with a new album, and not just go out to tour for the sake of going out to tour. So we are on to number 4. And Alex, why don't you kick us off with 4?
My number 4, I'd love to do a Kiss cruise. I think it'd be like a fun thing to do, get to see the band, so forth. I was a little apprehensive with the Kiss World thing. Now that they've announced some people, I'm a little curious on that one, but I'd love to do a Kiss cruise and get to experience the fun that comes with that.
It's fun. I did my one, and when I bought my one, I told my fiance at the time that I just want to do one, and I did it. And I think, and it's a great experience to see them acoustically, or whether they do the acoustic set the Sail Away or whether they do the unmasked electric set. Either one of those settings are very cool and very unique. And then to see the band play in that small theater within the boat, all those are very cool experiences in and of themselves. Plus the other bands on there, Kiss-related events throughout the cruise. And you're just around Kiss fans. You're around, like, everybody has like a common bond with one another. It's not just you're at a Kiss concert, but on the cruise. You're with your kin almost. You're with your You know, you're with your
Your
fellow
brothers.
you're with your fellow diehards, and you can talk to them about what you think about the song Tomorrow and Tonight, or what you think about Naked City, and they're going to be able to have a conversation with you. It's you know, it'd be like, you know, it's like being on it's like being together with 1,000 or 2,000 of your almost close friends at the same time, because everybody has this common bond, this common link to each other, and it's all about the band. It's a great camaraderie experience for sure.
I think that's what makes it so popular when you think about it, because as you get older, the amount of people that you have within your own personal circle that you could talk about this stuff just disappears, right? So to be plopped onto a boat where you have 2,000 people that you could talk to about these things, that's what makes it so appealing for people. I mean, they can blow off all that Kiss steam that's been building up in them for so long, and you know, until the next cruise, right? So it's a great thing to be able to do.
For sure. I think that's one thing too that makes them really popular, is that people have gone on these things and they've met people and become close friends with people that they've met on these cruises, because they share such a common bond that, oh, we have to go back again next year because we had such a good time meeting people, and we met these new people and we're close friends with them, and I want to see them again. I think camaraderie is a big aspect of it, that these people keep going back to see these new best friends. I mean, it's not like you're in high school anymore, like you said, Mark, and like all your friends are into what you're into, because
Yeah.
we all know as you age, people like Kiss or rock and roll or whatever becomes less important to some people, and you know, people have families and it's just not a priority to them anymore. So it's an opportunity for a lot of these people to reconnect with either their past and, you know, embrace that, or embrace these new people that they've met on the cruise. And plus you're seeing, you know, some very unique Kiss shows, and you get your picture taken with the band, and it's just a complete Kiss vacation. So
Yeah.
and I've said to other Kiss fans have asked me, you know, well, you went on one, would you recommend going on one? You never went back on one. I was like, no, I think it's something that an uber Kiss fan should do one time just for an experience.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that whole cruise thing has it's sort of went across the board. I think like that whole experience that people have with it, I think it's not just, you know, focused just on Kiss fans. I mean, you have these, you know, the Yes cruise, and you have the Moody Blues ones, and you have all kinds of different ones. I think that's pretty much the same thing with all kinds of music fans, whether it's Kiss or not, right? I mean, people, you know, have their favorites, and they want to be able to talk about it with people like they did when they were younger, and that's why I think these cruises are doing so well for lots of bands, right? You know, even Def Leppard did a cruise too, right? So
Right.
So I think it's a good idea for that, you know.
For sure. Mark, what about your number 4?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I have 2 more left. I didn't have 10. I couldn't think of 10. I have 8.
You want us to skip you?
So skip me, and I'll get to me when I have the last 2.
Okay, we'll get you when we get down to 2 and 1.
Yeah.
So let's do with Julian's number 4. And Julian's number 4 is, again, something that he's just recently crossed off his list, and that is to see Peter Criss perform solo. He says he missed seeing Peter Criss when he toured in 92, 95, because he was living in Scotland at the time, and there's no way he was gonna miss his show in New York City, his final U.S. show.
Yeah.
And Julian writes here to watch episode 131 for more on that, so that we don't start rolling our eyes.
Nice.
So no, Julian. Speaking of unique concert experiences, Julian got to see one of the most unique concert experiences, seeing Peter Criss's last U.S. show. I got to see Peter Criss solo in '95, when him and Ace did that Bad Boys tour, where Peter came out and did his set, and then 3 hours later, Ace came out and did his set. In typical Ace fashion. This was December of '95, and it maybe wasn't 3 hours, but it seemed like forever before Ace came on stage. And he came on stage, and this is December of '95, so Unplugged had already happened a couple months ago. wheels are probably already turning behind the scenes at this point. It's probably really going to happen. Ace came on stage hammered, absolutely hammered. And I walked away from that show, and I'd already, because Unplugged had already happened. Rumors were swirling at that time, even in December of '95. Rumors were already swirling. I walked away and I told my brother, "It ain't happening. There's no way it's gonna happen." 6 months later, we saw him. So, but that was a speaking of unique. That was a unique night too. My number 4, and we're talking about unique performances. I had a hard time. Mark, you said you had a hard time coming up with 10. I had a hard time coming up with 10 also.
Mm-hmm.
I was single during my 20s, and I was single for most of my, or not most of my 30s, I'm 37 now, but for the first part of my 30s. And I did a lot of these things. I did some meet and greets, and I did the cruise, and I did a lot of Kiss bucket list type items. So and I'm not trying to sit here and hashtag blessed, but I had, I didn't want to come up with things that I've done. I wanted to come up with things that I wanted. So for me, my number 4 was I want to see Kiss embrace their past. They've become in a lot of ways a nostalgia type band, and I would really like to see them embrace their past more and put out a collection of rare demos and these rare live performances. And they put out the box set in 2001. That was 16 years ago.
Yeah,
they've put out other box sets since then, but it's mainly box sets of rehash shit that we already have, just in a different format. So I would, there's other demos out there, and obviously the other demos get leaked all the time. So why doesn't Kiss put a stop to this and put out what they have to kind of bootleg the bootleggers, for lack of better terms? To say, you know what, you guys are putting this out. Well, you know what? Here's the grandmother of all of the shit that's not out there, so you guys can stop profiting off of us. Yeah, I mean, no, go ahead. And maybe it's Mercury Records telling them, because they are on this deal with Mercury, and they have been since right before Monster came out, and I don't know. I'm not in the inner circle. Maybe that has them handcuffed right now, and they can't do something like that. I really don't know, but I really wish they would, for a band that has, in a lot of ways, been criticized as being a nostalgia act for the last 20 years. Well, fully embrace your past and show us what your past was all about, and be proud of that past, even with Ace and Peter. Just do it. Yeah, I think you're right about that, because, and I think you might be correct also about, Universal / Mercury there being the ones who might be saying, no, you can't do it without our approval, sort of thing. But you know what? That also kind of was always bugged me, that answer, because, this is a business. It's called a music business. So, and they know that those things, if there was an opportunity to put it out properly, people would buy it. So why wouldn't they support it? It's just more money for them if they work in conjunction with Kiss on it. Right. I mean, you've seen what Def Leppard's doing for their 30th anniversary of Hysteria with their deluxe box set for that. Yeah. And what Motley Crue's doing for Girls, Girls, Girls. Why didn't Kiss do something for Alive for 40 years of Alive? Why didn't they do whatever? I mean, for a band that really relies on their past, I wish they would do more to celebrate their past. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Motley Crue have the benefit of owning all their masters and having full control over their material. But that's, like, again, that is an advantage, of course. But like I said, when a label smells money, I don't think that it would take too much arm twisting to help them, go along with your idea, Mm-hmm. Well, Ken has stepped out momentarily, so we'll come back to his number 4. Okay. Alex, let's go to your number 3.
I mean, can you hear me? Good. My
Yes.
number 3, I'd love to like go to the Kiss warehouse. Or go to a setup where they have like the extras, like get to go through like their costumes or whatever that they've still got. I really love to be able to see a lot of that stuff. I mean, when I went to the expo I did in Baltimore, they had like Ace's farewell tour boots, and I got a picture holding the boots, and they had like Eric Carl's jumpsuit from the Unmasked tour and stuff. But I'd love to be able to go through some of that stuff and see it up close and in person.
Very cool. Yeah, let's see some of those historic things in person would be pretty cool. Very good. My number 3 is to sit front row at a Kiss show one more time. I've done it a couple of times, and it's a extremely unique experience to see how the band interacts with one another that close, and just to see that in your face, greatest show on earth, for lack of better terms. It's indescribable to see them that close. So I'd like to do that one more time before they call it quits. I know that's probably forcing me to buy a meet and greet in order to do that, but that's the world we live in 2017. Or you could be like Julian and buy a meet and greet and sit way off to the side. So who knows? Julian's number. Oh, Julian had a number 3, and his number 3 is same as one of Alex's picks, and that is he wants to go to the Indie Expo one more time. It's a very unique experience, very cool. Again, with the camaraderie aspect. The Expo is really cool. One of the coolest things about it is getting there the night before and meeting up with Kiss fans in the hotel bar beforehand and just talking Kiss, and again, kind of like we were saying with the cruise, just being around like-minded people who just get you and get your obsession with the band. So
Yeah.
That's one of the coolest things to me about expos. It's just the fans that are there and the people that you meet.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I was thinking about as well. It didn't really make my bucket list, but it was something that I've thought about too, because I've seen Kiss a few times, but I've never actually sat front row, and I've always thought to myself, that's got to be a different experience than seeing it somewhere further back, because even like the blood thing and all that stuff, it must be more interesting to see it that much more up close than on a screen or something, right? Right.
You're watching the blood flow from your own eyes, not watching it on video to get the up close, and it's a very, very unique experience, and very, very different than sitting close at any other concert I've ever been at. So, and they're so larger than life in their boots and in their costumes, and that to see that, with your own eyes up front is it's magical, really.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you have a number 2.
Yes.
So let's go to your number 2.
Okay, so my number 2 is one that falls in the extremely difficult category now, because chances of this happening, I don't know, unless I find some miraculous way of pulling this off, I highly doubt that this would happen. But I would love to have a full tour of the Kiss Vault, which would be something similar to like this. This is actually Frank Zappa's Music Vault, where he has all his master reels and all his videos and all the master tapes for everything from his television appearances, the quarter-inch master, the actual master 24-track tapes. Everything is here. Okay? I'd love to have Tommy Thayer take me around the Kiss Vault like this, so I could just take a look and see what they have. Because, I know chances of actually taking down a tape like this, opening it up and playing it, are next to zero. But, being able to open it up and see, like, even the handwritten information that's on the back of the box, like, there's little notes like, we didn't use take 1, we used take number 8 for this song, or this and that. All these little nuances that we have no clue about, maybe they did, Christine 16 in one take, and they used the first take for the song. Like, who knows? We don't know any of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just know the final result, right? And it's those kind of things I'd love to see. Because, I mean, could you imagine going through a vault there and they're stashing behind there some mysterious television performance that we haven't seen yet? Because I know they keep talking about some performance that Kiss did in Winnipeg at the very, very beginning of their career that they did on some television show, and people say that there's no footage of it. Could you imagine if you were to go into a vault like that and they actually have it in there? Like, those kind of amazing things, I'd love to be able to go walk through with a vault like that and see stuff like that. That would be, I think, incredible. That would be a really big, huge bucket list thing for me.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty surreal to experience something like that. No doubt. Alex, what say you for number 2?
I'd say I'm actually similar with Mark. In the sense, I'd love to know what really exists. I've been listening to a lot of the Beach Boys lately. I've got like the Smile Sessions and the 1967, which has some outtakes and stuff. And I get thinking, I'm like, man, if these guys, like 1967, had all these takes, you think of the Beatles with the anthology sets and stuff, what really exists with what Kiss has? I mean, if if you get a chance to look at the deluxe edition of the Smile Sessions, you've got like one CD with just all these different takes of a song called Heroes and Villains, and you've got like one track called Brian Falls into a Piano, speaking about Brian, and you're just like, if they got that, Kiss surely has to have some more tracks. Kind of like with Mark, I'd love to just see if there's even just a comprehensive list that like maybe Gene and Paul have, and just to be able to go through that and just see what really is out there. That they have control over. Of course, Mark, kind of has it even better with getting a tour with Tommy, but I'd love to just know what really is out there.
Well, you know what actually kind of, made me rethink about that was, do you remember that episode that they had with Robert Conti on Three Sides there when he was talking about all those things? I mean, that revigored my whole fire for that. Was like thinking when he talked about how that error with the Nothing to Lose wasn't really an error, that it was purposefully done within there with some guy taking that tape off, and they knew that they've used it. All these little things is like unbelievable to hear, and to think that that he saw all these different master tapes and stuff like that. I'd love to be able to see those things and see what's there and what we don't know, right?
Yeah, I think we all three touched on the same aspect of, I talked about them putting out a box set of something like that. I think we all just want to know, and that's the unanswered question, is what is out there? What really exists? What nuggets are you sitting on that no one's ever heard of? Not even the most hardcore of the collectors and the most hardcore of the bootleggers. What do you really have that you've been sitting on for 40-something years?
Yes.
And there are things. There has to be. I don't think the lid is that loose that everything that they've ever done has snuck out in some way, shape, or form. I think there has to be some things out there they're still sitting on, and it's like, wait till one day that the fans get a load of this, and they're not getting any younger. We're not getting any younger either. Let's put them out there. Let's hear them.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Within the tapes, I'm talking right now with a guy who was in a touring band for a well-known group, and he's got happened to post a couple tracks here or there and stuff, and mention of some rehearsals, and he's even sent me a few of the tracks, and he's like, I don't think anybody wanted to hear these tapes. He's like, I've got like a bunch of them just sitting in my basement, and I'm like,
mouth hits the floor.
Yeah, and so he's actually going to be working on cleaning them up, and I was like, if you could just send me a set list of what you guys rehearsed, that'd be awesome. I just want to know like what's there, and I've got to hear a few tracks already and stuff that he had, already transferred and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't think anybody wanted to hear this stuff, and I'm like, I do. So you don't know what's out there.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on something that's really interesting there, Alex, is that a lot of the times you'd be surprised how many artists actually have that mentality where they're like, oh, I didn't think you'd want to hear any of this shit, like, you know what I mean? Like they almost look at it like, oh, it's just us going over a song a half dozen times,
Right.
And to them, they would probably get bored listening to it, but to a fan who loves this stuff, any kind of variation of the song, like, oh, they played the chorus a little longer, they did something different there, it's just so fascinating for us, and we want to hear these things that for them, it's just
for them, they're like, why
they,
do we even have it? It's taking
Yeah.
up space somewhere.
exactly.
I don't know why I've held on to this for so long. It's just taking up space in my storage locker or whatever.
Yeah.
So, well, Julian's number 2, and it's very interesting. Julian's number 2 is to interview Tommy after he finally realizes that the KissFAQ is not the enemy.
Nice.
It's the FAQ has been labeled as a place where people go to bash the current lineup, or try to pick fights with. It's a place for only original members only sometimes, and people who hate Tommy Thayer, hate Eric Singer, hate whatever. So poor Julian, again, who has been listed as a shit disturber, has not gotten his interview with Tommy Thayer, and I know he'd love to have it. So that's his number 2, is a Tommy Thayer interview. My number 2 is also something probably very unattainable, and that is I've met every living member of the band, and every living member of the band has signed either my left calf or my right calf, and I've gotten their signatures tattooed on my legs, except for one, and that's Mr. Vinnie Vincent. I've not met him at all, and it's probably very unattainable. But there was one point where I never thought I'd meet Peter Criss, and I did, and I got, and I thought, wow, it's so freaking awesome, it's fucking Peter Criss, and I got to meet him. He was as nice as could be. He signed my leg. He was talkative, and he signed my leg, and he's like, oh, another tattoo guy, He's like, I should have like my own tattoo guy right here, so I can make some money off of that too. And so he was really cool about it. So to meet Vinny, and yeah, if I met Vinny, I'd get a Vinny tattoo, as crazy as that is. So that's my number 2, is to meet Vinny, get Vinny just to sign me and get Vinny's signature tattooed on me. Very, very wishful thinking, but we all have to dream about something. And that's mine, is I dream of Vinny Vincent. So, all right. Well, hopefully Ken comes back soon. He can get us brought up to speed on his list.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's do our number 1s. And Alex, let's go with you. Your number 1 Kiss bucket list item.
My number 1, I'd love to just see the surviving members do something all together. Whether it's if they just did a small little performance, like a storyteller's, almost like the Unplugged like thing, just something small, whether it's a small little jam or whatnot. And I'd love to just be there, in the audience, kind of a thing with that. Even if they just got together and did a big Q&A, so, the 7 or 8, we'll say 8, if we could get Vinny, if they just all even just sat at the table and did a big Q&A, I'd love to just be there and be a part of that. And, that'd be my number 1, to be in the presence of all of them.
All of them?
Yeah. So that's living.
It might not last long before they come to fisticuffs if you got all of them together.
No, yeah.
But no, very, very cool and very good. And again, we all have dreams, so you got to dream big. Mark, what about you? What's your number 1 Kiss bucket list item?
Okay, so this one again will be extremely difficult for 2 reasons. Number 1 is the person who I want to meet, and number 2 is what I would like to do, though. Okay. I would like, because of the last little while now, I've been so involved in my own stuff and, organizing stuff and getting a record ready to get released and this and that and sending stuff out and this and that. So I'm really into the business end of stuff. So I would like to meet Doc McGee.
Doc McGee.
And I would love to sit in on all his business meetings in one day that he has related to KISS business and see how he does it, what they do, all the little business ins and outs that he does regarding KISS business, because I'm sure that you could learn probably a ton of stuff in regards to releasing records or whatever, preparing tours or doing promotion stuff or merchandising and stuff. All this stuff must run across his table. He must be highly involved with this, with Gene and Paul. And I'd love to be able to sit down just like a fly in the wall in the corner, not saying anything, just strictly absorbing this business information so that I could better my own business model for my own stuff and move forward from that. I think that it would be beyond dollars and cents, the value of that to me, just sitting in with somebody like that and learning all this stuff. So, and we got Ken back.
Ken's back. Ken, are you out of breath? Did an alarm go off and did you have to run 2 miles to get back here?
Kind of.
Someone we know had to do that.
Putting
once.
out a fire.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Pot him up.
Kind of sorry about that. Kind of had to put out a fire. Not a real fire, unfortunately, but it's something I had to take care of.
Daniel situation.
Yeah. I didn't have to run 2 miles though, like Daniel, fortunately.
Right? Did you have to run 2 miles to get back here?
No, about maybe 200 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So where are you guys at? Do you want me a quick?
We are
list?
at number 1, and you need to get us caught up.
Yeah, I'll go real quick through. What is it? Looks like 4 through 1, right? Probably.
Yeah. Go ahead and do your 4 through 1.
4 is I'd like to get a KISS Gold and Platinum Award.
Like a real one,
official one.
Okay, let's see.
And to hang it on the wall. So
sure.
I always kind of wanted one of those. So that's 1. Number 3.
Made out to Ken.
Well, yeah,
or just...
that ain't gonna happen. It'd be nice to have bill a coin or something, but that would be very tough to get something like that. Of course. Number 3, another KISS, one last KISS meet and greet, experience. That would be good. Number 2 was on Lonnie's list, the KISS pinball machine, original. And we've had the story before where I had the same kind of situation where I think it was like 92. I was in the record store, one of the last vinyl record stores. They were all gone, really, except this one was called, I think, Archive Records. And they had one right when you walked into the front door. And they had this for sale sign on it at the time. Again, this is like 1992, around there. And it said for like $500 something.
Oh, it's even worse than me.
I know.
Man.
And it was working because the guy let me play it. Yeah, and I was but I couldn't do it. I just
couldn't do it.
It didn't make sense at the time with everything else going on. You know how that is.
Same thing
Life,
with me. Couldn't do it at the time. Couldn't justify it at the time.
Couldn't justify it, but now I could. But I'll never see one for that much unless it's a total wreck.
Junker.
Yeah, all inners not even there. So that's that one. And then you're on number 1 now, right? We're down to number 1. So who's up?
You're on number 1. I'll do Julian's 1 and my 1, and then we'll do your 1, Ken.
Okay.
So Julian's number 1 is to interview Gene and Paul. He says, like his wanted interview with Tommy Thayer, and like his number 8, which is to get unshit listed, it ain't gonna happen. But we all have the old saying, may all your wishes except one come true. So you have to have something to wish for.
Yeah.
So his number one is to get an interview with Gene and Paul, a real sit down, I'm sure Julian Gill style interview, to really dig deep, and not just scratch the surface, but get into some intricacies that aren't divulged in your typical Gene and Paul interview, and to get something new out of them that we haven't heard rehashed time and time again.
Yeah, that'd be great if he could do that.
It'd be great if he could pull it off. And supposedly he's doing some interviewing right now, and it's gotten his creative juices flowing again. So
that's good.
We will see what comes of it. My number one, similar to Alex's and similar to all of our number ones, and it's something y'all have to dream. We all have to dream big. So my number one is to see a show with the original four in some kind of capacity, with the original four on stage together one more time. We had that opportunity. We came, it was there for the taking in 2014 with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they were four together in the same room. I don't know if we'll see the four of them together in the same room ever again, like we had in 2014. And we couldn't get along and put egos aside. And you didn't even have to put on the makeup to play. You could have just played. The four of you played without makeup and just played as Kiss. But politics and egos got in the way, like it has on many occasions with this band. And I would have thought that in their later years, with being honored by their peers and for their fans, for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that they could have put it aside and done something. And unfortunately they didn't, and I don't know if that opportunity is going to present itself. Well, the opportunity may present itself again, but will we be able to put the egos aside? Will we be able to say, you know what, let's let bygones be bygones, and let's get along here for a half hour or an hour and a half, or however long we're going to do this. Let's just do it. We owe it to the people who have put all that money in our bank accounts and who have made us rich and made us powerful and made our lives so incredible. You owe it to those people one more time, in my opinion. And I'd love to see it. Again, we're talking maybe unattainable things here for number one, but that's my number one. So, Ken, what about you? What do you get?
Well, my number one is very similar. Very similar to yours.
Yeah.
It's a final show at the final Kiss show. I'd like to be there at that final Kiss show, wherever it may be. Whether it's, New York, we probably think it would be something like that. And see all the members, all the living members.
That's what Alex said.
Yeah, there you go, Alex. So, all living members, Vinny, find him, hopefully.
Find him would be the most difficult.
Just finding him. Find him and have Bruce back and Tommy, of course, Ace and Peter. The whole.
All living members.
Yeah, all living, Eric Singer. So, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to be there at this last final show when they're going to then hang it up for good. Would I fly to go see that one? Yeah, I would. Cross the country and go to New York or wherever it may be. Maybe they'll do a set of shows, which would be interesting. What if they did like five major outlets or something like that. I mean,
right.
I would go to one of those too. Maybe I'd go more than one of those. Who knows? But definitely would want to see that. That's the big deal. Who knows what's going to happen. I hope it just doesn't peter out. They just peter out and nothing happens.
For lack of better terms.
Kiss, well, they're not doing it anymore. They didn't give it last show, and I hope that doesn't happen.
And that's kind of what it felt like it was going to be after the farewell tour. where they went and did those shows in Japan. They did those shows in Australia, and then it just it didn't have a period to it. And then they did like this they did that thing at the Olympics for the closing ceremonies, and it's just like, and it seemed like, well, what are they doing? Are they done? Are they not done? Are they trying to get Peter back in the band so they can do one final show and end it right, or what's it really seemed kind of strange. And I hope that history with Kiss, even though history with Kiss does seem to repeat itself from time to time, I hope history does not repeat itself when the end finally does come, and that there is a big exclamation point to their career, and not just fade away. Yeah. So I think we all have very similar ideas for how we've talked about it many times, how we all think it should, on the show, about how we think it should end. But and we talk about it more frequently because the end is getting closer, and performance-wise and vocally-wise, in some cases, it's not getting better. So at some point, the end will come, and I hope that it's with a bang and in Kiss style. So
yeah.
So those are our Kiss bucket list items, and Julian's as well. I'm glad he submitted his, so that even though he was not able to be with us today, he was able to contribute at the same time. So the people listening and watching, what's on your Kiss bucket list? Are there items on yours that aren't on ours? Did we miss some? Are there some glaring exclusions to ours that none of us thought of? So what are your thoughts? Leave some feedback on the board. Leave some feedback on YouTube. Tell us what you think. Listen to the show on iTunes. Leave us a rating on iTunes if you listen to the show on iTunes, or Google Play, or Stitcher, or Spreaker, however you listen to the show. But leave us some feedback and let us know what's on your Kiss bucket list.
Are we going to show that one item we added to our collection? It was on the thingy, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Something recently you added? Okay.
Something recently you've added. Julian recently bought the Kiss Artist Collection as a CD, and he's very disappointed in it. It's just another, again, Kiss fans rebuying the same music. Julian bought something probably off a deep discount or something. I saw it on there the other day. And it's pretty flimsy cardboard, and each of these remasters at $4.99. He feels like he got ripped off, and he's not happy about it. He's holding the people accountable for the Kiss Artist Collection. He says it's crap, and he's mad at himself. So what about you guys? Have you bought anything recently?
Yes, actually, the funny thing is, the thing that I added to my collection, it took me a while to find this, actually, but I'm glad I found it. And that is, in Canada, we have different labels, center labels for the vinyl, right? And Asylum always had that solid white with the blue lettering. So I ended up finding the other one that's been looked for a long time, which is the blue label with the white lettering. Like, this is apparently very hard to find. I just walked into my record store, the used one that I usually go to, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I finally saw this there. I was like, wow, the search is over. It's like, there's a Facebook site that's a Canadian Kiss vinyl collectors only. So it's only like 15 of us on there, and we've been trying to help each other to find this, and finally I found mine. So that's my big addition to my collection.
Very cool. Very cool. Alex, what about you? Did you get something good recently? Are you excited about it, or are you like Julian? Are you as mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore?
Heck yeah. So this thing's got the 4 original signatures. Then it's got guitar picks with Eric Carr, Vinnie Vincent, and Mark St. John signatures. And then, of course, Julian helped me at the bottom, too. They got Bruce's, Tommy, and Eric Singer. So there's something from each 10 guys, the 10 guys who've been in Kiss.
Very nice.
Very nice. Cool, very cool indeed.
Nice little fancy thing. Who knows? Maybe I'll get Ed Cannon to sign it one day.
Ooh.
Wow.
That would be extra special then,
He was in
right?
Kiss for 2.5 hours. Ken, what about you? You reached back and grabbed something.
I didn't grab something. I was thinking. I think. I know I got a new. I know. I showed it the other day. It wasn't anything, crazy, but I did find in a thrift kind of collector kind of store. I found a Creatures of the Night album from the UK. And it was it's like it was pretty much not played. I mean, it sounded that good. I put it on and checked it out. It was in great shape. So that was the phonogram, one of the phonograms.
Yep.
So that I added to my collection. I wasn't out looking for it, but I was lucky I found it. Oh, Creature of the Night.
Don't you love it when that happens?
Yeah. It's nice when you do that. So, but nothing. I would say I was, really looking to get that. I needed to add to my collection.
What about you, Lonnie?
Recently, I got the Kiss World CD from the UK, just because I'm completionist and I need to have it, even though I have all this. Again, I've mentioned it several times, because I get in trouble about buying the same music all the time. I don't think why I bring it up all the time. Oh, what's on there? She looks at it. You have all these songs.
You say it's a different order.
Not in this format.
It's a different order.
Not with this cover.
That's right. Yeah, Tommy's on it and Eric's on it.
You're not even going to listen to it. No, probably not. So, I recently got that, and a buddy of mine, and I need to get it. I don't have it in my possession yet. He lives 10 minutes from me, and him and I work just completely opposite schedules from one another, and I just need to find a day where him and I can hook up and I can get it from him. Is he got me a program from the Kiss World tour from Europe.
Oh, nice.
And I just need to get it from him. So I'm looking forward to that so I can add it to my tour book collection.
Yeah, speaking of that, they're selling them. I know they're available now. I think on either it's the Kiss Museum.
Kiss Army Warehouse has them for like
Warehouse.
$50. They had them for like $50.
I think they're
which
like
isn't bad.
70s
Which isn't bad
now,
really for a tour book.
I don't know. They're but they're there, and they're similar to the Creatures kind of look.
Yeah.
Photo shoot. There's a lot of the
Alan
the
showed us
backgrounds
his when he was on the show.
Yeah. So it's cool. I said, why am I going to get it when I already have an official Creatures?
You have a real
one that I actually got at the show in Irvine, California.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So that will wrap up the show. Thank you, Alex, for reminding me to do that little part, or else Julian would have said Julian would set it up. I guess I have to start being on the show again every week because I can't trust you fools to do it on your own.
Hey, Alex.
We'll see if he listens.
You can ride in that back seat then.
Look at you.
And you know what?
Oh.
You know what's funny, Alex? Just to mention that, I know Julian bought a third ticket. He has a third ticket. So I'm just telling you, I don't think it's been accounted for, but I know he bought 3 tickets. So I'm just letting you know. You can talk to Julian.
Your audio's not on.
So I got to talk to the boss. I got to talk to the wife.
There you go. Gotta check it out. But you can talk to Julian, I think, if you're interested.
Are you in Utah? Where are you at? Are you in Utah?
Idaho. I'm 2 hours, 2.5 hours north of Salt Lake City.
Idaho.
It's not that far.
Yeah, but it's not that far. It's not a bad drive. You get to go 85 on the highway, so it's good.
Very nice. Watch out for moose and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Alex will get to ride in the trunk of Julian's car on the way to Los Angeles. Stay tuned for that.
With Julian's books in the trunk. You can read them while they're...
Julian's books. No, Ken will have them. He'll be reading and asking Julian questions the whole way down. So what is on your Kiss bucket list? What items have you bought recently? Just for fun, tell us what you bought recently. Every Kiss fan is a Kiss collector, I think. So every Kiss fan has probably bought something in the not too distant past. So what have you bought recently? Were you disappointed with it? Are you mad as hell like Julian that you bought something? or are you happy with your purchase? So tell us your thoughts on that. Tell us your thoughts on your KISS bucket list. Listen to the show. Comment on the show. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you, Julian, for giving us the reins and letting us do this when he's not available, so we can continue to bring shows on a regular basis. So anyway, for Mark and for Alex, for Ken, I'm Lonnie. Thank you for listening to the show. We hope you join us again next week, and you stay classy, Kiss Army.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.